One of the first things involved with deciding to take the Azure approach and cloud-based services in general is to determine what your execution model is. In short, this is how you're going to support your applications, and there is a few different ways that you can go about it. For starters, we'll have a look at virtual machines. And you might think, well, as long as we have virtual servers running up in the cloud, we can support any app. And that is true. You absolutely can, and there's nothing wrong with this approach. It just comes down to how much control you want over your configuration versus how much administrative overhead goes along with that. So we'll see how virtual machine configuration works, and then we'll have a look at websites, and then finally cloud services. And these ones are quite similar. They're just focused more so on the application itself. So first of all, virtual machines. With respect to any given environment, you might see something like a messaging server, a database server, a web server, all of them running as virtual servers configured in the cloud. And again, that's perfectly fine. But really the only difference here from an on-premise based solution is the location of the servers themselves. Since they're up in the cloud, you do get benefits from that. There's availability built in, there's redundancy, there's hardware maintenance that is, of course, all provided for you. So you don't have to look after that. But from the configuration perspective, from the user support, from the security, a lot of that is still in place. So in other words, more so from the software perspective, we still have to maintain those servers. We have to configure them how we want. We have to set them up the way that's appropriate. So in the end, there's still a fair amount of administrative overhead that is involved with maintaining the servers themselves, regardless of the application. So if we look at the website option, for example, as mentioned, you might still have a web server, and that's perfectly fine. But maybe you're not really concerned with the server itself. I don't want to look after the server, but rather just the website. So we can remove the server from the equation, and we can literally just deal with the site. When you have an Azure-based subscription, you can do exactly that. Simply create a website. The server that hosts it is provided for you, and you don't have to manage the configuration of that server anymore. So the same goes with an application that really could be any application, but that's what cloud services in general is for. What you have in this case might be an application server, and again, same as before, you can create a VM for that, but maybe I don't want to deal with the VM. So let's remove the application server from the scenario, and let's just focus on the application itself. That's what cloud services are for. They remove the server component so that we can just support the application that we're concerned with or the website that we're concerned with. So with that, the administrative overhead, there's still some, of course, we have to configure the application and or the website, but the server administration is effectively removed. So what we get with that is reduced administrative overhead. So depending on which approach you take, again, you get the benefits of cloud-based services no matter what, but it comes down to really that matter of control. How much control do you want? Do you want to configure the server? And if so, that's perfectly fine, but you get a little bit of administrative overhead now because you have to deal with both the server and the service that it's providing. So virtual machines, websites, cloud services, whichever approach you take, certainly depends on your environment. All of them are going to be useful in their own way, depending on what your needs are.